Welcome to China. We are here from Soar Enterprises, a consumer technology company that focuses on everything from computers to high-definition televisions to mobile devices. Today we are here to propose the offshoring of our semiconductor manufacturing to Shanghai, China. By doing this, we hope to have cost savings from 1, lower labor costs, and 2, increased tax incentives from the Chinese government. China is the second largest economy in the world, and by improving our brand image there, we can potentially harness a huge consumer market. We're talking about the political environment, the economic environment, the regulatory conditions, the informal institutions, and the state of the semiconductor industry in China.
I'm John Richardson, and I'll be talking about the political system in China. Not only the benefits, but I'll also be talking about barriers to entry in Shanghai.
Hi, I'm Nick Unin. I'm here to talk about the economic environment in China, the second largest economy in the world. China's high technology manufacturing has been growing steadily over the last 2 decades.
Hi, I'm Dan Alexander. I'm here to talk to you about the regulatory environment of the semiconductor industry within China.
Hi, I'm Matt Rubright, and I'm here to talk to you about the informal institutions in China and why we think they're advantageous for us to outsource our manufacturing process.
And I'm Taylor Soper, and I'll be talking about the state of the semiconductor industry in China, one of the fastest growing market sectors of this country.
With nearly 4,000 years of continuous history, China is one of the world's oldest civilizations. Prior to the 19th century, China possessed one of the most advanced societies and economies in the world, but through successive dynasties it missed the Industrial Revolution and began to decline. In the 19th and 20th centuries, imperialism, internal weakness, and civil wars damaged the country and its economy and led to the overthrow of imperial rule. During 1947 through 1949, a civil war was fought in China. When major fighting came to a halt, there were 2 geographic regions calling themselves China: the People's Republic of China and the Republic of China. The People's Republic of China has control over mainland China. The politics of the People's Republic of China take place in the framework of communist totalitarianism. This brief overview of modern history brings us to the current state of the political system in the People's Republic of China. China's commitment to a political system conducive to the operation of our firm's investment has been a high priority since the year 2000. Efforts to develop its semiconductor industry have evolved to feature foreign investment as a cornerstone for developing the industry. By contrast, earlier government promotional plans restricted foreign investments and allowed the government to actively manage the industry. Prior to 2000, semiconductor firms in China were either state-owned enterprises or joint ventures in which the Chinese partner was a government entity. China has injected a $586 billion stimulus program into its economy that should greatly benefit our firm. As stated in a United States Trade International Commission article, enforcement of intellectual property rights laws remain a serious problem in China. Significant structural and institutional impediments undermine effective IPR enforcement in China. IP-sensitive services include such intangible assets as the design of manufacturing processes and the brands that franchisees rely upon to sell their services. IP regulations in China are something we have taken into great consideration. Therefore, we recommend manufacturing only back-end production for our semiconductors. We will keep all research and design in-house, as well as all other parts of manufacturing, to take great measures to prevent violations of our patents and trade secrets.
China has moved into the spotlight over the last decade with incredible growth and sizable expectations. In many ways, the People's Republic of China has exceeded those expectations and has surged to the title of second largest GDP and the largest exporter in the world. Although China faces several economic challenges, including managing its current fiscal policy, sustaining job growth for tens of millions of migrants and new entrants to the workforce, and reducing corruption and other economic crimes, it is well positioned to advance out of the current recession. China's fiscal policy could potentially lower immediate growth, but appropriate monetary management will ensure long-term stability in China. The 2 biggest problems facing Chinese fiscal policy is excessive liquidity and the possibility of inflation. Fortunately, the government is poised to combat these problems by raising the borrowing costs. Recent events have made the Chinese renminbi poised to become an international currency in the future. Coupled with the currency's already low volatility, internationalization would greatly reduce long-term transaction costs to the benefit of our business.
The level of regulation of the semiconductor industry in China is medium, and the trend of regulation is steady, with little or no change to current policies. Before a plant in operation can be established in China, it must be given authorization by the China Semiconductor Industry Association. The highest goal of the association, which is authorized by the Ministry of Affairs, is to carry out government-issued policy and regulation. Once granted authorization, new facilities are required to meet the following regulations, which are local government zoning and environmental regulations, noise, air, handling, and disposing of hazardous and non-hazardous waste regulations, and to comply with governmental occupational health and safety regulations, acts, and other mandatory requirements for employees, contractors, and visitors. Here are 7 regulations we believe to be beneficial to investing in China. First, eligible manufacturers can receive a 5-year reprieve from corporate income taxes following the first year a profit is generated. This transition period is provided by the Chinese government to allow foreign enterprises to adjust to local conditions and maintain FDI in China. However, after the 5-year period, the firm is subject to a 15% income tax applied to all foreign and domestic high-technology firms within China. Second, manufacturers are exempt from paying the average 17% value-added tax applied to machinery and equipment. Tax rates are determined by the location of the manufacturing facility. Third, manufacturers are exempt from paying import duties on raw materials used in the creation of semiconductors. Fourth, state budgetary funds will be allocated to provide financial support for infrastructure construction and modernization of the industry. Money will come from the national, provincial, and local level governments. Fifth, manufacturers are granted easier customs clearance designation. Sixth, to ease currency risk, foreign manufacturers are allowed to deposit after-tax profits in bank accounts in their native currency if the money is going to be invested in China. And finally, the Chinese state will provide assistance in the creation of venture capital firms and other investment funds to set up operations in China.
The informal institutions affecting our manufacturing plant are twofold. We need to look at the setup of the plant and the operations. First, we'll look at the setup of the plant. We see very few cultural barriers to entry because in Shanghai the technology manufacturing industry is well developed. Also, back-end manufacturing requires low skill level employees, making it easier to acquire a workforce. Where we do see informal institutions affecting our business is in the cost structure of our operations. First, we need American employees to move to Shanghai in order to establish operations and manage the site. Costs associated with this are employee moving costs and maintain lifestyle for their families, which may include housing, education, and much more. Second, it is customary in China for workers in the manufacturing industry to be compensated in a few ways. We have hourly payment, and then we also have piecework and incentive-based payment on performance. Also, manufacturing industries provide subsidies for workers of this nature in housing, transportation, meals, and even hygiene costs. Overall, our successful operation relies heavily on our ability to identify these operational costs and adhere to the cultural norms.
The semiconductor industry is a massive $314 billion global industry and has never been more important than now as a catalyst for economic growth in its role as a technology enabler for the electronics value chain. We at Soar Enterprises believe that investing in the semiconductor industry in China is an advantageous choice for several reasons. The state of the industry is promising. China's semiconductor industry accounted for 11% of the worldwide semiconductor industry in 2009, up from 10.7% in 2008, and more importantly, up from just 2% in 2000. While domestically, Chinese companies continue to make progress with IPOs, with Chinese financial markets providing more than 80% of all the semiconductor IPO funding raised, China's semiconductor industry is still in its initial stage of development, and China still imports about 85% of integrated circuits. In 2009, China's top 2 and 4 out of their top 5 semiconductor manufacturers were multinational companies led by Intel products. As previously stated by my colleagues, China's 4 trillion RMB economic stimulus program will include initiatives in railroad and air transportation, telecom networks, rural improvements, and healthcare reforms. These programs will need huge investments in advanced technology and should promote the use of semiconductor-enhanced products. As electronics manufacturing continues to stay rooted in China's manufacturing scene, the demand for semiconductors and manufacturing equipment will undoubtedly grow. With an encouraging government, the industry is set to flourish and succeed in the years to come.
From an increasingly open government to a surging economic marketplace, China is the way of the future. Hopefully, by offshoring our manufacturing of our semiconductors, we can take advantage of many of the economic benefits that China offers.
谢谢，再见。